We're in Malta and we're talking about, this is the second video talking about national collections, and I think that the Musa in Valletta is a very fine display, given the limitations that it's on many floors and it is lots of little rooms. I think it's a very pleasant building, and it's well restored, and the display is small enough to make it enjoyable, though the building has obvious damp problems. You can tell when you walk around it. I think Malta has the archaeological museum, natural history museum, which I think is dated and doesn't show the natural history and the early Neolithic stuff very well. Again, it's a palazzo on lots of floors, and the stuff is displayed in a very sort of 1950s manner. And I think, given Malta has Gigantija, Menadra and Hagarkim and other places which precede the pyramids, I think that Malta is underplaying its hand and ought to do a better job with the interpretation and display of these early artefacts. I think that Malta's not using these early Neolithic heritage items very well, and people do find it interesting when you talk to them about it. And not a lot of the tourists know anything about the temples and the age of the temples. They're the oldest buildings in the world. I mean, it's incredible that Malta doesn't make more out of it. So we have these museums in Malta, we have these museums in Europe and America, and you have the Guggenheims, and you have the Tates and the Pradas and all these sort of various places around Europe, the Louvre, and they're trophy led. So in Paris you have the Leonardo, in London you have the Rosetta Stone, the Elgin marbles. In Bilbao you have the new Gehry building made of stainless steel, and you have the Getty Museum in Los Angeles. You have these buildings which house these collections, and they have these names, and the names of the artists are brand names, the Picassos, the Leonardos, and so on. And the problem is that the museum market is pandering to the visitors who want to see the big names, and it means that the museums are buying these branded names, and it means they're not creating a form of husbandry where they're promoting their own art. I, for example, don't see why, particularly, the Leonardo is the most famous picture in France when it's not a French picture. You could say the owner was French, of course you could, but it seems a strange thing, given they have the Impressionists and lots of medieval art. You'd think that the French would be banging all about their own people. And in Bilbao, at the Guggenheim Museum, we have this new, 20 years old now, this new museum on the riverbank made of stainless steel, and it's built really to show modern paintings, and it's an impressive place to go because it's by the river and it's big and bright and new and shiny, but it's really an American museum stuck into northern Spain. You have the museums in Florence, which haven't changed in 150 years, and they show the Michelangelo stuff, and I would say they are the best museums of all. If you go to Florence, you're dealing in marble, you're dealing in Italian sculptures, and the stuff is in the right place and it's tangible. So my plea really for Malta is that it doesn't fall into this trap of buying the brand name artists for its museums. There's a lot of money obviously in museums and the visitors they generate, but I think that Malta should be buying Maltese artist product and not only paintings. I think that the glass market is notable. I think the filigree market is notable, and I think the boat building market is notable. But you won't find much filigree or glass or wooden boats in the museums. You'll find some furniture. But why do the museums why do they stop having furniture from the Victorian era? Why is there no 20th century furniture, Maltese furniture in the museums? It's this mindset by these academics running these institutions, and their herd mentality, and they are not progressing the museum's offers, and they're not developing the collections. They are perpetuating a mid to late 20th century idea of what people should want to see. I don't want to see any more Caravaggios, ever. I would like to see more Cremonas. I don't want to see any more Maltese chest of drawers, ever. But I would like to see some 20th century orange wood furniture. I would like to see some Maltese glass, because you have the Dobson, Harris, Said stuff going on, and it's more important as a Maltese artistic thing than just another Caravaggio. Why do we not see the silver in these museums? The Maltese silver and filigree was world famous, and I mentioned the boats as well. And there's, of course, there's terracotta, there's plaster, there's all sorts of other things too. Ceramics. There's a paucity of ceramics in Maltese museums. They'll have the odd tile, they'll have the odd fake Sicilian-looking semi-Maltese, Siculo-Maltese pot, but there isn't this. They're not locking onto the Maltese pedigree, and they're not promoting the Maltese pedigree. There's no good in a museum in Malta showing stuff as if it's in Florence, because it may as well not be in Malta. Malta has got its own flavour and has got its own stuff, and the national institution should be promoting the local stuff at the expense of the Italian stuff. They should be excluding the Italian stuff, because the Italian taste has completely saturated Malta, and it's completely saturated the minds of all of the academics running these museums. Thank you.